anybody can see me or hear me, let me know. You know. Hi. Did this go live in the thing? Like, did this make the Patreon post go? I guess I can go to Patreon and check. And if it did, we did it. I'll run the intro in a second. we'll we'll get started on this episode. No, people aren't seeing it. Okay. Can I see it? Like, is this a thing I can go to like our YouTube channel and be like, oh look, it says I'm live. It says I am streaming to your YouTube channel. Like, where is this? Where does this live? Where does it live when you just go live? Content. Live content. Live now. Okay. Okay, this is me staring at you. Maybe people can see it. What a fun opening to a Cup of Jones. Like, what even is this? Okay, there's that. There's the post. There's this info, which I've typed up twice. Yo. Okay. Okay, no, this chat froze. Now this chat's going. Pop out this chat. It is a new chat. Technology, you wonder why I'm retiring. Um, Cup is public though. I didn't set it to public. I saw it wanted to go public, and then I was like, don't do that. Let me not make it public. Too late. No, not set to public. The stream is set to public, I guess, which I also didn't do. I set it to yeah, visibility unlisted. Done. Go away. There, now you have to have the link. Okay. I specifically set the stream to unlisted, YouTube, when I started it, but it went to public, but now it's unlisted. Okay. It's a very challenging cup, but we're here. Maybe we did it. Yeah, all they saw me was doing was a test. yeah, if you're in, you're in. You know, that's how it goes. And boy, do I have to test that before I stream next. Okay, well, what's up? I love that there's some public people here too. We'll have to bore them into accidentally closing the window and being like, no! There are worse things than this episode going public. Maybe I should make this episode public. I don't know. Trying to get some last people to join the $1 tier. Hey, guess what? Hey, let me take... Well, no, I'm not going to do the countdown. We'll go straight into the intro, though. So I can have a clean intro for all of the audio people that don't have to deal with all of the nonsense that is going to be on this clip when I have to download it. But everybody can see me, and everyone can hear me, and that's up, and that's ready. Okay. Let's do a Cup of Jones. A live Cup of Jones, shall we? Hello. It is Monday morning, 10:17, after a string of fun things that some public people have now seen. And we got some public people in there. It's the fastest I've ever seen Cup of Jones chat go. Maybe we'll do another public episode. This is supposed to be an unlisted private episode just for patrons, but maybe some people are going to jump in, find out what Cup of Jones is all about. I have posted public episodes before. Hi, everyone. I showered, but I didn't shave. I got back from the hospital this morning, and I was like, well, if I can be here, I will do a live one. Otherwise, the very last episode, we talked about... I can review those really quick. Where's my phone? Or I could if I had my phone. I don't know. Next week is a history of brief history of game trailers. The week after that is a brief history of Easy Allies. The week after that is Ask Me Almost Anything, for which I will do a Patreon post, and everybody can just any question you've ever want to ask Jones, throw it into that Patreon post, and I will list what you cannot ask me, because I am a sensitive little boy. Lately, but and then the last one, that'll be live for sure. I will take the day off. I will make that episode live. That's the end of April. And then May 2nd is a Monday. May 2nd will be the last episode of Cup of Jones. That'll be pre-recorded. That'll be an episode called 10 Things You Can Do for Jones. Also that day on May 2nd, I will appear on the Easy Allies Community Showcase, which will be on May 2nd. I don't know if that's on the calendar. Just quote me if Blood changes that date, but he told me it was going to be the 2nd. And then the 28th of April, I believe, is the last recording of the month for the Easy Allies podcast. I will aim to be on that podcast minimum. Might be able to do one more, but that is not a promise at all. And I'll try to be on a group stream here or there. Definitely got to get Sophie to that studio before May 2nd. That's priority one. Me going to the studio is not as important. Getting Sophie to run around and pee everywhere in that studio is extremely important. Milo is doing okay. If you want a quick little Milo update, Milo is my son. Public people who might have missed all of this. He's in the hospital right now. That it's almost going to be 2 months. It'll be 2 months. It was on Super Bowl Sunday, so it'll be 2 months on the 13th. So it's been about 7 weeks that Amanda and I have been living every other day in the hospital. Amanda has pulled a little more time than I have because she's just badass that way. And because I've had to do this silly job, which I won't have to do as of May 2nd. As of May 2nd, my parent numbers are going to go up significantly. Look out, Amanda Troop. But, Milo's progress is better. It's like a bullet that we're dodging constantly. There's just all sorts of numbers going up and down. And all Amanda and I are really obsessed with is he comfortable? Is he getting better? Is he doing what he, are his needs being communicated? So that's what we're really focused on. And in that way, he's had a lot of fun wins that I would need to check with my wife to see if she's comfortable with me posting. But we're not here to talk about Milo. We're here to talk about 8 other human beings that I've been working with for 6 years. And 8 people that I'm going to, some of them I might have already said goodbye to. But in some ways, there's no, there are many different types of goodbyes. But I'm here to talk about... these wonderful people that I've worked with, and just kind of one last thing, be like, hey, for one, obviously I'll be on streams with them. That's kind of what the idea about the streams were, Silent Hill with Isla and Kingdom Hearts with Brad, Persona 5 with Ben, which I'm really looking forward to. We'll see how long I can last playing Persona 5. But I think those are going to be much more of the time for us to talk. Obviously the showcase, we'll see who shows up to the showcase. But that will be much more of hey, we had a fun run together, didn't we? In terms of working together every week. I'm still going to guest on stuff. I'm still going to come back. Can't wait to do my first Mysterious Monsters sometimes this summer or something like that. All that will be a lot of fun, but super need to take time off there definitely is the Easy Allies Grim Reaper like around my shoulder that's just like, Golden Voice. And it's like, oh, right, I got to do that. Shout out to Golden Voice. Don't know if people like being public at that tier. I'm not sure, but I've gotten one Golden Voice script so far, and it was right on the money. I'm going to put up rules, which I totally should have put up before. So there are no rules for the, like the rules we'll figure out at that tier. Blood's not excited about like, communicating back and forth with people. So I'm not going to do like more drafts of stuff. But when it comes to like, that's a little crossing the line, I need to establish where that line is, just like the showcase and stuff. So I'll have more information. But shout out to Golden Voice tier members. Shout out to people that are at the podcast producer tier level and above, because I'm still gonna be doing that every month. And those reviews. Shout out to our reviewers, our review script writers, all of whom are on this list. What else is there to say? We talked about those dates. We are so above 30K. It's awesome. Thank you to everybody that up their pledges to get to those tiers that supported us during Easy X. I know I said that last week. I don't know, but I just don't know how I feel about Easy Allies without Brandon. That's like Lethal Weapon without Mel Gibson, like Die Hard without Bruce Willis. Well, I mean, that's one thing to consider is the rigidity of Easy Allies. Like, like who left Saturday Night Live second? I forgot. I wanted to look that up for the show. Who was the second person to leave Saturday Night Live? It's probably a list, right? No. Now, see, it's all new stuff. They don't know what I mean. Maybe somebody else could look that up, because Chevy Chase was the first, I think. But it's like the way all of us would want to think about Easy Allies is a community that, the community's not going anywhere. There's not just, there weren't just 9 and then 8, like there were thousands. Like there are a lot of people involved in Easy Allies, not just paying patrons, like people like Amanda, and other people, like Isla's band members over the years. Like there's a lot of people that have Sean, that have come in and out of this group, all of our, spouses and significant others and family members. And it's a big community. It's why, my retiring and my son's medical condition, like can't, like I really want to separate those, just so I can focus on the business. I can focus on how great everybody is and do Cup of Jones without being like super tired. But, that's the thing about Easy Allies. It's life. Easy Allies is life, baby. I don't know what kind of a life Easy Allies is for you. You get to choose your involvement as showcased by the various tiers now available on patreon.com/Easy Allies. For all you public members, for all you people like, oh, I got a free Cup of Jones. This is $1. If the episode I'm going to do for you at the end of this, for you public people, is not like, yeah, sure, I'll give Easy Allies $1, then tisk. Thank goodness I'm not going to really get too personal, and I'm just going to talk about my dumb coworkers. I'm going to talk about all these people in alphabetical order, because that seems to be the fair way to do it. That is Daniel Bloodworth, Don Casanova, Michael Damiani, Bradley Ellis, Isla Hink, Michael Huber, and Ben Moore are the current employees of Easy Allies that I'm going to be leaving behind. Let's start with those at the very least. Thanks for the $1, Jones. Hey, if we can, maybe I meant to do this. I'm actually surprised I got this working. Like I really wanted to do today live, and I'm glad. I was like, I guess I'll just go live, get the different link, make the episode. I might have to do that next week, because XSplit was just like, YouTube? What's YouTube? YouTube.com/Easy Allies. Pish. Cup of Jones scheduled for 10 a.m. Nonsense. Daniel Bloodworth. Right at the top. Cheers, everybody. Shout out. Shout out to Daniel Bloodworth, everybody. This will come out when I talk about game trailers next week, and I talk about Easy Allies the week after that. But there was nothing that anyone thought about super hard when they put Blood and I in charge of game trailers. Like there was not. That was like watching was it Plinko machine, right? There's an L in that. It's not pink. It's Plinko, right? But even more, it's like the the hand, the chaos, the anarchy of the claw, trying to actually grab a thing and move it. It's like there's so many stumbles and so many egos and so many like they got rid of the chaff, whoosh, like, and just fired everybody that they knew they could fire. And then they were like, I keep that Jones guy though. Again, we'll get into these details and just like, and then who's next on the chopping block is Blood. We'll keep Blood. And then Blood and I were in charge of Easy Allies, or in charge of Game Trailers, and the Game Trailers, begot Easy Allies. I wouldn't say Game Trailers turned into Easy Allies. And let me tell you, live, public, and paying members of the Easy Allies community, we would be screwed if Bloodworth hadn't stuck around this whole time. It's 8 years now that Blood has been in charge, not just 6 for Easy Allies. He was in charge of, because I was still doing voiceover. And one thing that I did in a lot of the game trailers days that I don't do so much anymore, I did a little bit with Easy Allies. I kind of moonlighted here or there. I went to events. I went to DICE at game trailers. I don't know if you know about DICE. I think there's a DICE in the UK. Specifically, there's a DICE in Vegas, and it's the greatest gaming anything I've ever been to in my entire life because it's it's exclusive. You have to have tickets, or you have to be in press, and you can't buy. I don't think you can buy tickets. Maybe you can now, but like it was nice. It was a nice little like, ooh, hey, I made a gaming website. You know, it was like I got to, you know, it was nice. Shout out to Andrea Renee. She really handheld me through all that. Shout out to Dave Oshry, who told me to change my Twitter handle at that event from Game Trailers VO to something else. And that night I created Trailer Jones at Trailer Jones on Twitter. Dave Oshry, shout out, the head of New Blood. And Blood was back at the office when I was in Vegas. Woo! You know, like every Game Awards I ever went to, Blood gets to go to the Game Awards next year. Blood didn't know that I was already planning on retiring. And Blood was like, hey, I'd like to go to the Game Awards next year. And I was like, I will try to get you into the Game Awards. He didn't know that I said that because I was retiring and I was going to go to the Game Awards anyway because it was going to be my last Game Awards. And it was fun. It was a very small, weird crowd. There were a lot of chairs with cloaks over them. That was a creepy Game Awards. But I'm glad I went, and I knew I was going to retire the entire time. I was sat there and watched the entire event and went back to the Allies and talked all about it. Blood is a rock. Blood is so prepared for this job in all the ways that he needs to be prepared. Blood is cold. I don't know. Did Blood come up with cold-blooded? Because cold-blooded is so great, but cold-blooded doesn't mean insensitive. Cold-blooded doesn't mean he doesn't care. Cold-blooded means Dirty Harry. Cold-blooded means Blood is going to get the job done. I've been watching a lot of movies in my crisis that I'm currently dealing with my family, with, you know, my wife, because I don't get to see her, and my son, who's very ill. And I find myself drawn to movies like The Batman, you know, just a guy who just doesn't care, just gets the job done, just doesn't, you know, doesn't really have time for just like, we're doing this, you know, this is just what needs to be done. And I don't exude that at all. I might exude that with the confidence of being on camera, but this is all theater, you know, this is all like, I'm a film major, you know, so I can just blah, 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 like go on and on and on. And Blood has said in very complimentary fashion to me, like, well, you know, we were in your garage. Like, you obviously, you know, should have been the on-person personality. Like, I don't know if the Allies like that I've, like, introduced and closed as many group streams as I possibly could, but I've definitely elbowed my way forward to the microphone, which I couldn't get working. I can't do a Cup of Jones this morning if the microphone won't work. But it's just, again, we would be hosed beyond belief, you know, and Blood is having to pick up things now in my retirement, like finances and budgeting, and shout out to Isla, who we'll get to, who's managing a lot of that stuff as well. But Blood's just so good at this. He's so good at scheduling. He's so good at managing. Like, you get those. That's where we're gonna, like, you know, if E3 goes away permanently, like, you know, c'est la vie, like the industry changes, whatever. But like, I miss those assignments. I miss Blood. Like I'm literally getting my lunch on my way to preschool. Literally getting like, what are my assignments today, Bloodworth? And just like, you're gonna go see Capcom. And you're going to go see Square Enix, and you're going to go see, like, oh, thank you. You know, getting my Disney Infinity appointment, you know, like, just children. Like, we're all kids. Like, so people shared this sentiment. And, like, I don't share it now in saying that Blood, you know, Easy Allies would be in trouble, even though I've kind of said that like 4 or 5 times. Easy Allies would just be different without Blood. It'd be different without everybody else. You know, Easy Allies would probably have to hire a Blood, you know, whereas me leaving, like, we need to get a community manager, but that wasn't my job. We are going to get a community manager, which is so sweet. I can't wait to meet that person. Oh, that's going to be great. That's going to be a really cool, slick, Easy Allies with a community manager. I hope. Yeah, Blood's just it was weird. It was weird making the announcement that, like, yes, Isla and Blood are in charge because, you know, none of us could run any of that equipment without Isla, and none of us could run this business, you know, in its current form without Daniel Bloodworth. No question. Personally, he's cold-blooded. He's a savage man. I respect Bloodworth for so many reasons. Bloodworth's a man of faith, which I dig so much. Blood has been so awesome about his faith throughout our entire working relationship. It's never come up in a weird way. Like, not even once, not even close. He actually has kind of a jazzy rock and roll persona, like at his church. Like he does these huge shows, and he shows pictures of all his wild equipment, and he's brought in like so much expertise from like running events and like making stuff work, you know, for his rockin', you know, religious community. And of course, like that wisdom, that patience, that assurance, you know, like, I'm not going to make assumptions on like how much all of that is connected to his faith, but again, the guy's a rock. And so it's like, it's been really, you know, there have been blustery days in Easy Allies, and I've always just kind of like clung to Blood. No, oh my God, please, you know. There have been moments where Blood would message me, like, you know, throughout the last 7 weeks when my son's been in the hospital, and been like, yo, is this happening? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know we were talking about that, but I can't do that. And Blood's like, yep, okay, that just immediately falls on my shoulders, but I got it. And I'm just like, so fun to start Blood on this list, because it's like, yeah, that's. And then obviously the second most important person in Easy Allies, Don Casanova. None of the there's no people more important. These are all just shining jewels on the horizon. I love all of these people, which is more than I can possibly convey in however long this episode is going to be, and however much longer I have this gig. Who is Don Casanova? You're asking me? You're asking me who Don Casanova? I have no idea who Don Casanova is. Not a clue. You know what? I made coffee in the kitchen that I haven't drunk yet. I'm gonna go walk and get my cup of coffee right now, and think about who Don Casanova is, because I frankly don't know. I don't know. Gotta get some coffee. Am I going to clip this silence from the audio version? I am not. Because I want everybody to stop and think. I can only do 2 cups of the, shout out to the dragon. Because I got water in this cup. But I'm not going to spill coffee all over the floor. I'll do the dragon cup. 3 cups and my stomach just gets shredded. And believe me, I have needed caffeine. 2 cups of coffee and a 5-hour energy. Shout out. Starbucks and 5-hour energy. Shout out. There is a Starbucks in the hospital. Shout out. Don is, you know, I'll tell you the sad thing about Don. He doesn't know. I don't think he really knows. You know what I mean? I don't think he understands the mystique that he just radiates. And it goes to, it's kind of the same thing with Huber, where it's like, it goes to, like, I try to look nice. You know, I picked this nice shirt out so it wouldn't make me invisible in this background, so I'd pop a little bit. I put hairspray in my hair. Don doesn't need to do anything. Don, like, warms my blood wearing a Jurassic Park shirt, or like a costume. You know, like Don is so invisible and yet so connected at the same time. You don't think Don and I have had, you know, a couple of shared sympathetic moments, given that we both have young, you know, boys, like, and, you know, he gets that for me in a way that, you know, shout out to like all of my other friends, you know, that don't have young boys, but, you know, that they have to protect, you know, and I'm fascinated with people, you know, like I am such a people watcher. Shout out and apologies to everyone I've ever, like, you know, just stared at, because people are so interesting. Like, people at the hospital are so interesting. The doctors, like, everyone just has a story, and I'm a storyteller, a story devourer. Don has a story to tell, and I think we've just scratched the surface. Like, and shout out to Don for, I think, the thing work-wise, because we've all watched the Don shows and we've all seen him on streams, but like, from a work perspective, he's so good at setting boundaries. Like, he's so good at setting personal boundaries. He's so good at expressing what he does and does not want to be involved in. I think opinion yells, like, one of my favorite things, that he was just like, I don't like to yell. I'm like, guys, it's so, is it a bit? Is it not a bit? I don't know. It's It's so genuine yet mysterious. Like, the guy is an enigma. It's such a privilege to work with him. And he started as the person next to Isla. Like, when they were our two editors back at Game Trailers, like, I like knew him, you know, like, and I knew he was like involved in Mandatory Update, but I didn't produce Mandatory Update. Like, Mandatory Update was released on Isla, and like, I've never really got a chance to really, like, we've worked on like huge projects together, but like I've never really, because he is always in control of that message. Look at me. I have no control, you know, like I cannot shut up. And the guy really does so, not so much with so little. He says so much by saying not much, you know, like gosh, he's provocative, and he's gosh darn sexy. And he's just a lovely person. He's very, very empathetic, very understanding. Has saved my ass from a production schedule more times than I'm physically able to count right now, because I would just fall on the floor, you know, with guilt, you know, and unworthiness. And he's a good editor too. He's just very creative in terms of so many mysterious monsters he's been behind the scenes of. There's so many uncredited things that he's done. You know, it's like the Bloodborne musical back in the day. Like, none of that stuff could happen. Don wasn't there, helping in it somehow. You know, even if he wasn't there on set, covering for myself or Isla or whoever was gonna, you know, work on a video or something. He's just like, yeah, I got the thing, I'll do it. Don cuts a podcast now. You know, I get to retire because of Don. You know, and I know that's like, well, technically I get to retire because of all of these people, but like, you know, I started cutting the podcast when we did ECL. I was like, oh, right, because I was going to be doing other stuff. And so maybe I'll take that on because I don't have to host it. Then I had to, and that was a fun little bit. But yeah, Don's just great, reliable, in a word. Shout out to Don Casanova. Brandon. Two Brandons. He's going to be the only Brandon left. Goes by Don. Brandon. Michael Damiani. Whenever I think about Michael Damiani, I think about a very particular office at GameTrailers.com. We were, hey, you can go there now. There's no Viacom left there. We were by the Water Gardens, which was in Santa Monica. And we worked in, I'll talk about like the different buildings we were in, but worked in all sorts of different buildings. But there was a glorious era where we were in the main building, and we were 3 floors up, maybe 2. Bloodworth would know it because that's Bloodworth. He is to know these things. This was when we did bonus round in the lobby of the building. So Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon Comedy Central. All these people are walking into work. All of them are walking by Jeff Keighley talking to Michael Pachter and Cliffy B. Who are those guys? Like, that's Game Trailers, yo. Like, that was great. Like, that was, my ego was conflated during that era for sure. In that building, if I recall correctly, Michael Damiani came to work for us. And if not, one of the first things that he did, and I remember that building, I remember like going by his office, and he was like, 2 things. And I've said this before. 2 things. 1, your Legend of Zelda retrospective is largely incorrect. And I didn't write our Legend of Zelda retrospective. I think I like copy edited it, and like I can bullshit anything. I might not get away with it, but I can do it with a smile. Like I can pretend. And there were parts of that where I tried to just kind of smooth over the corners and probably like said some crazy stuff. And we had the audacity, with the staff that we currently had at the time, with people looking back that I think had absolutely no right to work on a Legend of Zelda retrospective, to do a timeline video. And it, you know, part of me was like, you know, honored that he was in such a tizzy, you know, that like we had that much of an effect on him, you know, that that was a wrong he wanted to right so bad. He created maybe the most successful series in the history of GameTrailers.com. Which is, Damiani is a warhorse, man. Damiani delivers. Damiani is one of the smartest content creators I have ever met in terms of knowing good content, you know? Like, we all work real hard, you know, but boy, he's really got a brain for this. He really has a brain for like what people want to watch, why people watch certain people, and why people watch live streams in a way that like ladies and gentlemen, Michael Damiani. It's like I can't. I'm 43 years old, and I'm not gonna try that. I'm gonna retire and do some other things. I'm gonna try to write a novel. I'm gonna try to do some voiceover. I'm not gonna produce live stuff, because if I work with a guy, like, he should just always be doing that. The second thing that he told me was that he wanted to do a retrospective on Metal Gear, and I said, "Oh, cool. How do you want to do that?" And I was like, "I can write that." And he's like, "I will write the entire thing." And I was like, cool. No one has ever come out with that energy before, because at the time I had seen people crumble at the weight of a retrospective. Like, a retrospective, there's a reason that we did them and then didn't, and then tried and then teared and then it's like it's a Halley's Comet that we've been trying to capture for a long time, because there's no easy way around it. It is a absolutely insane amount of work. Not fun work. You're like, you get to play all the games. You do not. You probably don't. You probably don't get to play all the games, because that would be way too much time, especially for something like Final Fantasy. My God. I am not going to finish Tactics Advance. I'm just not going to do it on time. But I'll talk about it, and I'm not going to steal somebody else's like footage and stuff. It's like, no, I want it to be us playing the games, people at work. Final Fantasy Tactics passed between like 4 or 5 hands before we finally had enough footage that I felt so many save files that it just booted up. I was like, where are they? Okay, let me use this spell. So Damiani was like, yeah, I'll capture all of it and write all of it, and you just have to edit it. And I like almost passed out on the spot. I was like, what? Oh, okay. And he was good to his word. I experienced during that retrospective the statuesque image of Damiani at a capture station, using the mouse to click, and then just getting back to work, man. What is going on in Kingdom Hearts? Like, what's going on with that Michael Jackson track in that Sonic game? Was it Sonic 2? What's going on? It doesn't come from like a executive sense of like, what would make good content? Jim, what would make good content that all those video game fans would want to watch? I hear that Kingdom Hearts is big. It comes from Damiani walking up the stairs, going to get burgers, hanging out in couch areas, trying to explain Xehanort to us, and us being like, what are you talking about? Before Brad Ellis could come in and back him up, and like nobody really, a bunch of people play Sonic 3. Nice. A bunch of people played it. A lot of people played Kingdom Hearts and enjoyed it, but like what's it going on? Like, didn't really understand. And the Metal Gear retrospective, without a doubt, from start to finish, was the most fun retrospective experience I ever had. I'm really proud of that retro. Of course, I made mistakes. Of course, it's, yucky 4x3. There's no big, clear version of that. That's all on me. I didn't know how to archive stuff at the time. I was too busy moving on to the next thing. But thanks, Damiani. Thanks for allowing me to make something that, just having all that music and knowing plotting all the music out beforehand. I used to kind of just wing music selections and retrospectives. I would grab whatever I could at the time and then just make a note, don't use that again. Or if you do, be intentional, use a different version of it, use like a piano version or something. Because it was the Viacom days, we could do whatever we wanted. But I had all the soundtracks for Metal Gear, and I listened to all of them before he delivered any footage or any script. I listened to the entire work and was like, cool. And then just kind of roughly started to pack stuff out. That big end of Metal Gear Solid 2, I was like, well, okay, that's going to be the end of the whole thing. So I can never, I made 5 episodes of that, and you never hear that track until the very end. And I got to have that clarity of production because of Damiani just coming in and being a workhorse, being a warhorse, just being like, I will get it done because it needs to get done. And you're like, cool. That energy doesn't come along very often. Like, you just don't see somebody that has that intent, but also that will. Damiani gets scary sometimes. How long did you stream Final Fantasy 14? How much sleep did you get last night? Like, there's so many moments with Damiani where it's like, yo, how you doing? And I'm sure people look at me that way. I'm sure family members over the last 20 years have looked at me and been like, what? How? You try to explain E3. You try to explain Easy X. You try to explain Easy Living. You try to explain these big events. It's like, well, why are you doing this? And it's like, oh, because it's fun, and you can just see the fear and the exhaustion in your eyes. But that's art. It's fun. It's fun to make that stuff. And holy cow, Pop Fiction's a good show. I have no notes, by the way. I literally have a list of all of these people. I'm winging all of this. Pop Fiction is one of the best YouTube shows ever. Shout out. You know, I would get a script. Damiani would come into my office at Game Trailers and he'd be like, so the next Pop Fiction, I'm like, he's like, is about F-Zero. I'm like, oh my God, what? And he's like, in this one game, there's this thing. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. The Fire Temple chant theme episode of Pop Fiction, where it's like all the music, all the chanting underneath that. So we had all this music that was just like, what? I'd like listen. He got into like the code. I didn't even know that. Like the registration numbers on Nintendo 64 cartridges, so you know when it was produced definitively. Like, what? Like it was. I was a fan of Pop Fiction more than anything I think I've worked on in 20 years that I was like a part of, you know, and like I largely just did VO and like copy edited the scripts kinda. The scripts kind of bounced around between Shane and I and eventually Ryan Stevens and other people. Like certainly if Damiani was working on something in the past and was like, yo, I'm a little confused about this. Can you clarify? He would reach out. But damn. And I don't want, you know, again, I don't want this, you know, the bring Pop Fiction back, bring Game Sleuth back, bring Timeline back is, you know, a revenant that has followed Damiani like his whole life in entertainment. You know, I wish him the freedom to do whatever he wants because he's certainly taken on some really, really big projects and some big stuff. And it's just a blast. He's just rad. He's a very quiet man at that desk in the corner. There's so many moments of stream. Yo, Damiani, yo. Hello. And he just, he's working on something, you know? But you know who also has that kind of tunnel vision, and that tunnel vision a lot of times, you know, unhealthily maybe, can lead to getting the job done. You know, like Damiani has that drive to just like, give me 5 minutes of complete silence and I'll finish this, you know? And so it's like, he's badass. Shout out to Bradley Ellis. I tell you what I feel with Bradley Ellis, and I think I've told him this a little bit. We've talked about this in the last couple weeks. Guilt. Because I took over at Game Trailers and obviously had all sorts of ideas about what that website could be because I made it. Yeah, that was a little sharp. I'll leave that tone out there. Because I made it. What I wasn't really prepared for was to like train Brad. You know, like to really bring him in and be like, hey, let's do stuff. Here's how you edit. What do you want to learn? You know, Brad kind of came in and has always had a hard job. You know, Brad's always, you know, Brad came in as an intern, and I hope we've been able to shake all of that dumb intern responsibility that he had to deal with back in the day. Because Brad's so much better. You know, then your average intern who comes in and maybe stays for a little time in a company and then just moves on. We like views your job like as a stepping stone. And I didn't know, you know, when we started Easy Allies, that Brad would be down. Brad is so real. Brad is so raw. That is not an act. Brad cuts to the quick. Blood is cold-blooded. But Brad was not an intern. We do not have an intern program anymore. Yes, that's right. Because I can't remember. I keep forgetting that he didn't come over until Defy Media. Shout out to Blood, doing corrections. Yeah. Because I keep thinking that Brad came on before Game Trailers at Defy Media, but I met Brad before then, which was why. I think I met Brad before I met Huber. I think I met Brad Ellis with Huber next to him, like, you know, just excited to meet me. And I was like, that guy right there. We'll get to him. So I feel bad. I wish I had worked with Brad more to give him more skills that I think I know, you know, passed on a little more wisdom, and maybe I'll have more time to do that. Maybe I can, like, in my retirement, spend time with him to like get some stuff done, because Brad wants to do that. He wants to do he's talked to me about all sorts of other things he wants to do. Brad just has come through in like a Don Casanova way, has come through so clutch in the past on you name it. You name whatever dumb job, whatever uncomfortable assignment, whatever weird game, whatever, you know, super quick embargo. He was a production assistant of some kind. Don't remember the exact title. Well, Blood doesn't know the title either. He wasn't a production assistant. Blood. No, I'm just kidding. See, I already talked about Bloodworth, so now I can treat Bloodworth however I want to because I was so kind to him, right? Brad's like Damiani in a lot of the sense of like Brad just shows up and does the job. Like Brad just sure, you know, and then every now and then Brad will be like, yo, that was tough. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, you know, good to know because, you know, we want to make that easier or we don't, you know, want, you know, to have you involved in stuff that you don't want to be involved in. There is a realness to Brad that I idolize because I am not fake, but charmed. You know, I always try to like up the personality because I was elected best personality in 8th grade in the yearbook. Don't make me break it out. I'll show it to you. Maybe I'll show it to you in the last episode of Cup of Jones. Best personality. But for Brad, it's deeper than a personality. It's Brad. You know, like that's just Brad. Like Brad just walks into a room like that. You know, Brad's hair just does that. You know, Brad just Brad's a dreamboat. Brad's boy, does that guy have your back. Like boy is it's comfortable to do anything with him that's live, you know. Boy, is it rad to have him on the podcast if I'm moderating, you know, to just have him like, what? You know, like just stop you instantaneously. What are you talking about? You know, or, you know, if Brad's bored, he's bored. You know, if Brad's tired, he's tired. Like Brad doesn't, but he's not like pushy. You know, he's he's insistent sometimes. He's honest sometimes. He's honest almost all the time. You know, he doesn't hold back, but not in a cold-blooded kind of way. Blood's got that trademarked in a cool kind of way. Brad is like one of the most James Dean people I've ever met in my time. Brad's like James Dean, and Don Casanova's like James Dean if he hadn't gotten in that car crash and lived to be however old Don is. Like those two cool cats can just do stuff that's so effortless. I wanted to open with this because it's one of the things that I directly associate with Brad, but I don't want to minimize his effort the same way that like spouses are minimized when people like tweet or write headlines and they're like, this person's wife did a thing. And it's like, they have a name, you jerk. Like, what? Let's get over that. Like, let's let people know what their name is, you know, not like, hey, spouse did a thing. But how great are Brad and Huber? I mean, what a privilege, what a gift that Easy Allies was given to have this actual genuine, you know, they got history, man. They got a lot of history, and part of it has come out, you know, like every now and then we mine, and I'm like, man, I must have talked about that on a you know, Gundam building episode, but like, I haven't watched all of those. And so I was like, I didn't know that about Huber. What? Like, and that is so crucial, I think, to what Easy Allies is. Like there are, I imagine there are groups either because they were formed through meeting people through Easy Allies or formed before outside of Easy Allies that enjoy Easy Allies, you know, like groups of friends. They're like, like they all know Huber, but they all know each other. And, you know, I made a lot of friends, you know, in 40 years, but my high school friends are like, you know, it's a whole different breed. You know, there's a level of communication that you can have with friends that you've had for that long that you just can't fake. You can't rush to, you know, it's so genuine and it's so unique and so precious. There's so much I've learned about Brad through Huber. There's so much I've learned about Huber through Brad. And it's neat to see that too, because I'm on the same page that you are a lot of the time. Granted, I have access to them in a lot of ways that you don't, but I'm still like, what? You know, it's fun to see them stream stuff together. When I heard they were streaming It Takes Two, I was like, yes. Did they stream that or did they just play it? I think they might have just played that. But I was like, oh, that's going to be great to see their reactions and to talk about that, you know, going in to Goaty. But they shout out to Kristen too. Again, we don't want to like do the, you know, spouse connection. Shout out to everybody's spouse. Shout out to, you know, all some of us have significant others, some of us do not. Shout out to everyone that did or does, or anyone's ever dated that showed up to something that we did. Shout out. I talked to Amanda this morning and I was like, oh, today's episode, I'm talking about the other allies. And Amanda was like, you can talk about me? And I was like, of course. Not that she's not involved. No, it's the people, it's the percentage owners. You know, it's the shout out to my lovely wife, who's worked really hard in helping me, you know, sustain Easy Allies. But But just shout out to Brad and Huber, man. Oof, we got lucky. And I hope we never exploited that. I hope we never, jeopardized that in any way, or if that's like a beautiful, tasty orange, squeezed it, harder than we should have. Those two are just a riot, man. They're a lot of fun to be around, and that's a podcast. All the podcasts are different, but when it's Brad and Huber in the seat, it's just a whole different. You feel connected to something that we just can't do. It doesn't mean that any of these people. You look at a pair like Isla and Dawn, who are like so close in the trenches during like the very bleakest and most frustrating of parts of the what happened to Game Trailers. But they didn't go to high school together. There's still some kind of a connection that is neat. It's fun to watch. So thank you, Brad, for being friends with, putting up with Huber through all this, and back and forth. Shout out. What about Philip H? What about me, Jones? You gonna talk about me? Philip H. I just rewatched Muppets Take Manhattan, and I think about Phil. Fish makes me ill, Phil. Gil and Lil. Hello. I really like Jim Henson's business frog voice. Because I'm realizing as a kid, I'm like, Jim's doing funny voices, and then I realize later it's like, oh no, Jim's making fun of people he's worked with. Like that. Those frogs in Manhattan are business meetings that Jim Henson had to sit through. Because like Jim was a hippie. Jim always will be a hippie, and he probably didn't get along with a lot of those people. Where are we having lunch today? It's like, oh, okay. I didn't get that like that when I was like 9, but okay. I get it. The rich people in Caper, when like Gonzo's going by and taking pictures of people, it's like, okay. And Jim's there, yay Muppets. Isla Hink. I need a moment. Hold on a second. Let me review. Okay. Let me just take it in. Okay. Right. Hold on a second. Let me just. That's the best way to do this. Okay. Do you see? Do you get it? Do you see? A little of it's there. Yeah. Right. Do you see? We're not there. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. We're getting there. This is KM. Yeah. Okay. So, Michael Hubert. No, I'm kidding. I've probably learned more from Isla in 6 years. Why am I getting misty thinking about Isla? Why didn't Daniel Bloodworth, Don Casanova, Michael Damiani, or Bradley Ellis bring the slightest suggestions of tears to my eyes? I have examined crying in the last 7 weeks on levels I wish I could teach you. The DEFCONs of crying. This is DEFCON 5. That made something happen. Obviously, the difficulties, the struggles. I'm not even going to name them. If you don't know them, of the things that Isla's had to deal with in the last 6 years, I've learned so much from that experience. All of them. There is an emotional intelligence to Isla Hink that is astounding. That is like, Isla has been blood is a rock. Isla is a big, soft, squishy pillow that I've just kind of run into, frankly, at points of the last 7 weeks, and just been like, Isla, I'm having a hard day. And I was like, I'm there with you. Isla's the best. Let's start, we can get all mushy later, but let's start from a raw business perspective. Isla is the most technically capable of anyone I've ever worked with. Like, you might have thought I was going to say of the allies, of anybody. There was a dude at Game Trailers called Ezra that had a skill with servers that was so rad, because we needed servers at the time. When we lost Ezra going to Defy, I thought we were finished. I was like, no, Ezra, thank you, Ezra. But Ezra lore. Yeah, there was an Ezra before Ezra. There's Ezra. Ezra runs deep, because everything we did at At Game Trailers, all server based. Servers ran the website, servers ran the footage, servers compressed the media. It was just server. There was a big screen that was you could see through a window into an office that was locked because all the servers were in there, and it told you what the servers were doing, and I would just stare at it, having no idea. I was like, I'm on the Enterprise right now, and this is running my business. This is rad. It's like that scene in the Matrix. Like, I don't know how these machines work, but all I know is that we need them. I honestly don't know how Isla Hink works, but I know we need her. Because Isla is that mystery, but in a way, Dawn just is alluring by design. Dawn just stands where Dawn is standing. But Isla puts an effort into being alluring. Isla puts an effort into being creative and interesting, and that is so cool. And that I'm like, hopefully some of that's brushed off on me. I don't know. What do you do when you work with someone who writes musicals? What do you do? Being almost a musical theater major yourself. I was a musical theater major for a semester, and then I switched over to film and took a summer class and managed to get out in 4 years. And then I've been a big film nerd, and Isla also likes film. Which is like, it's like, film will be my purview because I was a film major. And I was like, I know more about film than you do, sucker. And it's like, well, then I will be the better singer of the two. Nope. Well, then I will be the more production efficient. Nope. I started in the business earlier. I got one. It's like, I can't, damn it. It makes me mad. Because Isla's just we're all creative, we all create, we're all content creators. But you have all seen what Isla can produce. When you watch that, but also watch Isla produce, in all of her fashions, throughout the years, and all of her styles, and all of her, the ways that she's represented herself. Wow. Just wild. And shout out to Elise Willems, because Elise was a part of that as well. You talk about pairs, you talk about Huber and Brad, you talk about, Dawn and Isla, Blood and myself, Kyle and myself, these duos, Damiani and Huber, these great duos, that have come up over the years. And, that was really fun to watch as well. It was tough to see them part. Yeah, just, I could go on and on and on about all of the things that I've learned about all of the editing things that Isla has said in passive, that I was like, yeah, you always do that. What is Isla talking about? Oh, you can do that in Premiere? That saves a lot of time. Yeah, who didn't know that in this room? Idiots. Email to myself. Remember to do this thing that you didn't know was possible, because you always seek the easiest way out of every solution. And I guess that's what it is too, is that Isla kind of does that. Isla pretends to do that, but there are so many situations where I'm like, whoops, easy fix. And Isla's like, no. We have to fix that. And it's like, yeah, but we woke up the next day and continued making content. So la. And Isla just gets it done. Shout out to all these people, because I'm telling you, I wouldn't have done this job for 6 years if I didn't want to, and all of these people could have gotten in the way of that. All of these people could have been, the deal breaker of just like, I can't work with that person. I really want to work with Isla Hink again. I want to work with all of these people, but Isla specifically has proven obviously that she can write musicals and make movies and make a card. Oh, here's a card game. Boom. Here's another card game with the, that I'm going to produce that our community created. Bam. Just Kickstarter, Itch.io all day. There are still things I've yet to do with my career that I'm like, oh, Isla taught me that 4 years ago, and then I'm just going to do it. So thanks, Isla, for that. Isla Hink. Shut up. Michael Huber. I want to take you blow by blow through a moment that we talked about on a stream recently that is something that you need to understand about Huber. about, this is all good stuff, about how I met the first time I really worked with Huber. Huber was around. Huber helped. Huber kicked ass. Huber was in the buttons, sequence. Like going back to Huber, and so I was like, oh yeah, Huber was in the buttons. The Huber was all over the buttons thing. Like Huber got buttons D3. I forgot. Like it was really fun, like rewatching that and seeing like Huber and Ben and all these people. I was like, right. I forgot Ben like plays Street Fighter with. But Huber did some of the two roughest like actual work days. Meaning I went to work for GameTrailers.com and then went home that night and went to bed. And those were the two E3s, the two most rockin' Game Trailers E3 All Access hosted by Jeff Keighley E3s, man. The second one, I think, in the last of the greats was when Last of Us 1 came out. I remember Keighley talking to somebody from PlayStation and being like, yo, because I just, the old heads of PlayStation, honestly, I don't remember their names off the top of my head. Sean? What was it? Sean Layden? Sean Layden. I think he was talking to Sean Layden. I did it. I will keep your mind in my brain for another month, Sean Layden, and then you're out. But he was talking to Sean Layden. He was like, yo, Last of Us. It's a good game. He's like, I got it. And of course, Keighley's been playing that for like weeks. And like, but I remember time stamping that because Last of Us like came out right before E3. And I was like, what are you doing? And it's still, it was not Jack Tretton. But yeah, Jack Tretton was there. Was it Jack Tretton? Might have been Jack Tretton. I thought it was Sean. Layden came after PS4, so it was Trenton. Thank you, Mr. Showtime. See, like Mr. Showtime's on it. And Huber was there, and Huber was my backup. And Huber, what we did was we provided all of the footage for the cutaways. So if you go back and watch, if it's even possible, to rewatch any of those old E3s and Jeff Keighley's content, anytime they're like blah bitty blah bitty blah bitty blah, Fable 3 or Last of Us or whatever game, we had to predict that they were going to talk about that. And we had to have that footage available. And not only that means getting the trailer and then bringing it, that means to package that trailer cannot have any extended black shots, where it's just like, the pure darkness for television people is like death. It's like whenever something goes to pure darkness, everyone freaks out because it means a feed died. It doesn't mean like, oh, this is just a transition. They don't know. They can't hear it. If it's B-roll, it's like, what's going on? And so I would have to like go in if I was like, oh, that trailer's all we have. And so I'd have to go in and like edit the trailer. So it's just like one continuous stream of footage, maybe loop it a couple times so they didn't have to do that manually. All sorts of fun garbage. And so leading up to that, Huber would assist me with collecting those things. And then at the event, Huber would assist me in whatever the hell I needed, because the person that was actually pushing those buttons was somebody sitting next to me that I probably worked with over all the times doing All Access. 20 different people, maybe 2 of them played video games. 2. So Huber being there needed to get anything we needed to help me organize all the stuff that was coming from press conferences, because that stuff's like, oh, whoa, they're going to want to talk about that. Oh my God, what is that? And like, while we're actively excited about it. So all that Shenmue energy was also there. And there's this like moment in lore where Huber was just grabbing everybody, so Huber was so excited that first year, and it broke my heart. I actually went home and talked to Amanda. I was like, so this guy Huber that I'm working with is just the best. There's only one thing wrong with him, and that is he like bear hugs everybody. And it hasn't been a problem, but I'm nervous that it might be a problem because you just don't know who's on set. And imagine in the COVID era, it's like it's just it's stuff you can't do. And he just couldn't help it because he's Huber. Because it's like I feel comfortable saying these things because Huber and all of that is done with the best of intent. And it's the first time he's ever done a live, internet/televised event. This was on Spike Television. Like we were in a television studio for a day. It was wild. Or for like 3 or 4 days. So I pulled Huber aside and was like, yo, you can grab me wherever you want, but maybe just with the non-game trailers people. And he was like, oh, right. And like the way Huber takes any note immediately with gusto and humility. And I say that to start because that is Michael Huber. It's been so painful to listen to is anyone being like, that Huber guy's fake. It's like, yes. Bummer. Bummer that there's nothing I can convince people that like I have never seen a fake Huber. I know of not what you speak, even his personas, even his costumes, even his acting, that guy is so impossibly genuine. And we have all of the allies are bright shining stars in their own way, be it intelligence or charisma or attractiveness or work ethic or whatever. Huber is a okay, I'm getting a little emotional here too. Huber's a rare beast. Huber's a very special human being, and all of you are special too. Everyone watching this Cup of Jones. But I'm telling you, working with this guy, like, we gotta protect this man, because he's one of those YouTubers that you see, not to minimize him by calling him a YouTuber, but like, I see these other people that host, I see these other Twitch people that blow up, I see people and they're just like, he deserves that just by breathing. He's just one of those people that just get him there. Just get him in the room, just get him out of the bathroom right now so we can just be on camera so people can just watch this guy, because he's just, so many of the tenets of Easy Allies are just who he is. What do we want Easy Allies to be? Empathetic, Michael Huber. Energetic, Michael Huber. Passionate, hardworking, genuine, funny, has that you see the guy and you know what franchise he loves most. All of you know Michael Huber's favorite game of all time. If you don't, you should. It's Resident Evil 2. And the stuff I share with Huber, the shared interests, I covet like few things in my life. Like, Huber is just so wonderful. He's just a big ball of sunshine. And sunshine feels good, doesn't it? It feels nice to be close to. It can be a little hot, it can be a little you haven't played what? That's my least favorite Huber. That's like as mad as I can get with Michael Huber. It's like, you haven't watched what? And I'm just like, Huber, what time do you think I have? What are you talking about? But he cannot, shall not, will not be anyone else. He can't hold that in. Dude, you gotta see this thing, man. You like that character, you like that actor, you like that franchise. You were alive at that time and didn't see that in IMAX. It's like, that is so crucial. I think, honestly, if you sense any of that energy from a lot of the other allies, it's from Huber. Like, Huber has... There's so many events that Huber's like, yo, and we're just like, no, dude. Like, I've had to say no to him so many times because I physically couldn't do something. I couldn't match his enthusiasm. I couldn't match his level. He doesn't do anything soft, He doesn't do anything without running into it. He just, for better or worse, man, woof. And he's there, he and Brad have that, that support system where I says like, it's great to have Brad, on a stream. It's great to have him around because, he's got your back. Huber has your back just because Huber's like a bouncy thing in a platforming game. Huber just like, yeah, he has an energy that you just kind of like, oh, cool. I'm not going to get sad because how can you? It's like, I'm not going to, think of the worst things I could because Huber's here, and so that's why it's just like, it doesn't matter where Huber goes or what Huber does. I'm obsessed with that guy. It's like, I gotta know. Huber has turned me on to so many things. Like, Huber has shoved me violently in so many, different directions. Huber answers questions on Tiermaker and talks about things things that I'm so passionate about that I think I understand. Not only understand the nature of the thing itself, but why I like it. And then he'll say something and it's like, that's it. Huber said it. That guy said it. He said the thing. The reason why I like the thing. What is it called? Is it hyperbolic? What is it called when you say everything's the best? What is that called? It's so funny that I think Huber knows he's saying it, but I don't know. I don't know if Huber does. When he literally is like, yo. He tweeted something about WrestleMania that was like, yo, best villain of all time. It's like, what do you mean, best wrestling villain? Best wrestling villain of their specific era? Like, what are you talking about? Because in 2 weeks, he's going to say Wesker's the greatest villain of all time. And then 2 weeks after that, he's going to say Dracula's the best villain of all time. Bowser's the best villain of all time. Hyperbolic. Huberbolic. The name of his show should be Huberbolic. That's one of if there's anything I've left to give Easy Allies, that's one of the last things. Take it or leave it. We talked about bringing Syndrome back. I feel bad for Huber having to get rid of Syndrome, but we talked about even Huber's being involved in the show that has his name in it. Hey, with me leaving and Cup of Jones and Trailer Jones leaving, we can finally get rid of the whole ego nonsense of people having shows named after them. I don't know. Maybe people called me Jones too much. So they just named everything Jones. Trailer Jones. Or I've switched. To be fair, the wrestler he was talking about, he was probably right. I gotta watch more One Piece. I gotta watch more wrestling. I got a lot of work to do in my retirement. Huber is the GOAT. Huber is a firework. Huber is like a chandelier. Huber can't be ignored. Shout out to Ben Moore, the best writer I have ever met. And I know you're like, what? There are probably better writers. Haven't met them. I mean, like, met them, you know? Like, hi, I'm Brandon Jones. Hi, I'm a person. Hi, here's a thing I wrote, you know, for you even. Oh, thanks. The anger I feel toward Isla Hink for Isla just, like, editing stuff, I feel toward Ben Moore with some of these sentences he has the gall to create. There are some sentences I will read in his scripts where I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that might be the best way to describe that. Like, and the thing that's crazy you have to understand, which is like, you get this script from Ben that's dynamite and you're like, wow, he's really good at what he does. Maybe the best, you know, like he's up there, man. Maybe the top 10 best script reviewers. And I know Ryan Stevens, Justin Spear, Patrick Morales, you know, it's like all these people are like, hey, you know, and it's like, sorry, Shane Satterfield, you know, all the Daniel Bloodworth, you know, Michael Damiani, Brad Ellis, Michael Huber, Isla Hink for your, for their, what was it? Stanley Parable. No, not Stanley Parable. Laser Robots. What was that game called? What was the one thing? And obviously Bloodborne 2. What was that one game? Talos Principle. Thank you. Oh, Isla Hink. Thank you, Isla Hink. Oh no, Isla was here. Oh no. Any sentence that stands out? That's the thing. No, the new script brings a new thing. So my point is, you all get that script and we all read it and we're just like, damn, like this here is somebody that worked real hard on that sentence. You know, like that was a set. I have done more pickups for Ben Moore scripts than anybody else by a landslide, you know, and that's not because, I'll tell you why that is, because Ben will write a sentence, read a sentence, rewrite a sentence, reread that sentence, send that sentence to Bloodworth. He will rewrite it. Ben will then later rewrite it again, then send it to me. I will read it. Ben will hear it and rewrite it. And like, just to know, like, I got it, you know, like there's so many last, like, oh wait, you know, and like, there are things Ben Moore has added at the last minute to a review that I for sure would have just let go if it was my review, the script I'm writing, because that's my standard, you know, that I need to survive. Ben pushes himself to a level of excellence that is the kind of like Damiani with Stream Time. It's just like, dude, you know, like, yeah, the thing you created. It was like me losing sleep over retrospectives. I wandered into my rehearsal dinner at my house with everybody ready to meet me and my wife, my future wife, for my rehearsal dinner at my house. Late, because I was turning in the last episode of the Final Fantasy retrospective. And I thought I was going to be on time, but I was like 20 minutes late. And everybody I knew, all my family and friends, turned around like, why were you late? And I was like, Japanese role playing? Like, didn't go over well. There weren't many people in that house that understood that. But man, sometimes you just get hooked on something, and Ben is hooked on the idea that gaming discourse can be productive and intellectual and funny and different and evolve. And when we just had our Easy X, Ben brought just the huge energy of like, let's do different reviews, without really knowing what that would be, you know, with it wasn't the idea of like, this is what that means. It's like, hey, let's let's go to another planet and explore it, and then we'll maybe be like, yo, this planet's kind of barren, let's go back. But that's what's really scary about Easy Allies is like, change, creates frustration and confusion and anger from people who don't want it, and so change can be really scary. And Ben just writes and writes and writes. Ben just comes up with words. I'm like, I know that word, but I've never used it. Like that's, and not in a like thesaurus grabbing kind of way, not in a like, yeah, I read the Wikipedia page, says the guy who wrote so many retrospective scripts that way. Shout out to Ben's writing forever. Shout out to everything Ben's about to write, whether he stays in games or whether he goes onto something else, whether he's able to juggle this and maybe do other stuff, or, I mean, selfishly, the way I would prefer it, the man writes video game reviews for forever, for eternity. The man lives to 126 and writes video game reviews that whole time. The man reviews. I want Ben Moore to review a game for the PlayStation 25. Like, I value his expertise so much. He has gone on and 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 on about games I have never played and will never play, yet love, in a way, because he told me how. He told me why I should. I love, obviously the big uns are great. Obviously Persona 5 and like all these things that Shin Megami Tensei 5, like that was, you get these scripts from Ben for these. Oh, here we go. It's like getting the Shenmue 3 review script. Ooh, okay. Oh, here we go. What's the score? Ooh, okay. Like you kind of, and that's the thing is that, like, obviously the Brad Ellis or Damiani, sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild script, whatever that game's called. But Ben just has a gravitas about him with his work, and he's earned that because he's really good at it. And that's so cool, not only to see, but work with and be the voice of. I'm so lucky to have my job. I'm so lucky to be able to be on shows that these wonderful people produce, to show up for like an Opinion Yell or a Bloodborne musical, or to be actually like cast heavily in that Isla shout out in that Western musical, to be like, oh shit, I got a part. Should have learned my lines. Sorry. It's like I went shot by shot in that musical. But Ben Moore scripts are dense and smart and, among the best of the best, I think, of the stuff anybody, so much of gaming discourse now is from the hip. So much gaming discourse is like, oh, I said that thing on that podcast, or oh, I was interviewed and asked that one tough question that we totally took out of context, or oh, Jason Schreier got another one, or like, oh, like I leaked that shit because I don't care, or you look at what Ben does and it's like, man, that just takes constant work and diligence and reading and watching and paying attention and correcting. You know what I don't like to do? Correct myself. One and done, baby. This is live. Like I love it. I love being done with this episode and walking away from it. I'm done. Ben works so damn hard. So thanks, Ben. Thanks for Gen That Was. Thanks for, retro work you've done in the past that legitimately didn't get enough credit on. Like, thank you. God, Gen That Was so much fun. Like, thank you for your show ideas. Thank you for you, like, adding things onto your work schedule without getting rid of anything. Like, he would just do more stuff. Like he, yeah. Ben's really good at what Ben does. Shout out. Shout out. I think that's it. I think we did it. I think I'm done. It's a long episode. It's like an hour and a half, but I think we did it. So yeah, just to blink. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I can't, obviously. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I sleep on a hospital couch every other night. I legitimately forgot. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm nervous, talking about all of this. A lot of you don't know Matt Blair. Matt Blair was actually in the room when we created Easy Allies. Matt Blair was there. Matt Blair had the hardest job back at Game Trailers. Matt Blair just basically worked on all of the trailers that came in, which was something that was so easy to cut from like what Easy Allies became. You know, it was so easy to be like, no, we're just not going to do that part. And then Blair legitimately, you know, so understandably was like, well, then I'm going to take this opportunity. And I'm going to do a different gig. I am channeling that Matt Blair confidence 6 years later. So shout out to Matt Blair I was just a very impressive tenure at Game Trailers. Matt Blair taught me a lot about hockey. Matt Blair did a lot of jobs. You know, I'll say like writing a script or hitting an embargo or editing a video is like a hard job, but like that guy just did jobs that aren't even that fun. And he was in my garage. He was in that room. He was an ally for less than a day. He made Easy Allies happen because he worked really hard with us at Game Trailers. And Matt Blair is a name that's not said enough, you know. So shout out to Matt Blair. Shout out to all of his contributions. And shout out to all the allies. Shout out to everybody that I've ever worked with. Shout out to I'm kidding. Let's talk about Kyle. Kyle Bossman is the ally I probably got along the best with in my tenure. Kyle Bossman is very funny. I kind of went to college with Kyle Bossman. Shout out to JJ Shabesta, wherever you are, JJ. I think JJ's at The Onion. I know JJ worked for a while at The Onion. I had a roommate my sophomore year in college that was a sketch writer, and I'd never met a sketch writer before. I'd never really spent a lot of time with them, and he would just write bits. He would just write bits and bits and bits and bits and bits and bits and bits. He would have a joke, and we would read the scene and laugh, and then he would just like throw it up and throw it in the trash. And so I didn't know. I'd never spent a lot of time with like comedians. You know, I didn't spend a lot of time with people who told the best joke, like almost every time, you know. And Kyle and I understand each other. I know it might seem like we don't, but that's why it was so much fun making art with Kyle for a while. I wanted to promote Box Peak so much more. I wanted to. There's so many. You talk about like work that, you know, more people should watch. You know, Kyle's very talented. Kyle's a very funny guy, and there's like an understanding. You know, Kyle and Isla and I all came from the theater, and shout out to, you know, Bloodworth, who does production stuff, and shout out to all of the other allies who've been on stage and done weird stuff. But like, you know, like enter in a band and you make like a bunch of weird stuff. It's just kind of a weird, dumb energy that Kyle and I, you know, bonded over. And it was neat that Kyle and I were able to make so much content that resonated with so many people. When we just turned the camera on, man, we just showed up, and it was, you know, that was really neat. I legitimately had no idea that Brandon Plays Pokemon was going to be like big at all. I was happy to do it because of Kyle. I was happy to do it because I was like, oh, we can do the thing. You know, the thing we were talking about 6 months ago? And it's funny because Kyle and I think, both messaged each other at the same time. Like, we were both like, oh, the thing. We should do the Pokemon thing. He's like, do you still want to play Red? I'm like, do I want to play Red? Do I want to level up in a game that I can break by being too powerful? I do. And the moment I told Kyle, like, he's like, well, did you have a problem with that? Did you have a problem with the second gym leader? I'm like, no. And he was like, but that was rock type. You had... And I was like, I got him. It was hard to get Kyle. It was hard to get in front of him, you know, and it still is. It's hard. It was hard to, like, you know, that like coughing laugh that he did. Man, Kyle, I'm not talking about you any more than this. That, you know, that kind of, he's got like that spit take without spit that Kyle does. You know, that like, you got me. That time where he tries really hard not to get got, but then he gets got. Everyone. Earned. You know, every time, like, that's right. Punk. You jerk. I got you. Yeah, I miss that podcast. I miss GT time. I miss all this stuff working with Kyle. Kyle taught me how to miss my job. Missing Kyle was like, oh, that's what retirement's going to be like. You know, I will watch as he will with me, hopefully, with bated breath,
all of the stuff that he does, not because it needs to be big or great or successful or earn, or, I hope it makes him happy, whatever he's working on, as all of the allies, as all of any creative friends. The thing you have to understand about Kyle is Kyle leaving made a big impact on people, but Kyle leaving was the 65th person that I had said goodbye to in the whole span of my career with the same job. I know Game Trailers isn't easy allies, but it's like all Game Trailers was goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It was just one after the other, like editors that came in and, oh, you got a job at Yahoo, goodbye. It's like there were people I had to let go of, like Matt Blair, like people that, I relied on. I miss Ryan Stevens so much. Ryan Stevens just says things and you're like, what are you talking about? And then you Google it and you're like, oh, like he just, I cling to Daniel Bloodworth for the Ryan Stevens vibes now. But so yeah, part of me was like, Kyle Bossman told me he was leaving when I was at my kitchen table, sitting across from Amanda Troop. And my immediate reaction, both verbally and in my gut, was nice. I was like, obviously this will suck. Didn't know quite yet what the podcast was going to become, but like, yeah. Because I felt the same way when Elise left Game Trailers. Like I felt, that's so hard. Asking for a raise is so hard. Telling your boss that you have to, that's what I was, like telling them that you got to go and you got to try something else. Telling you all I was retiring was terrifying. I can only imagine not spraining my ankle at a campsite, not, looking at 20 years in the industry, not having my child be ill, but just want to do something else, just realizing like, I got to try this. I don't even know what this is, but I got to try it. Like, I respect that so much. It was such a mean thing to do to our Patreon, but I respect it. It's a very insensitive thing to do to 8 people who thought we were your friend. But I guess not. Part of Easy Allies that I've always dreamed of, and I'll say this about everybody before I drop this stream today, is I want Easy Allies to represent how to make fun of people. Aren't we having a conflict with that right now? A little bit. Where people are like, you don't make fun of people. And then they turn around and they make fun of somebody because it's someone they know. It's someone they care about. And who we know and how we care about them is like, it's real. We don't understand that. Celebrities, billionaires, millionaires, people with millions of followers that millions of people watch their content. Like, how can they understand that? Like, people on the other side of that coin, you looking at me streaming this, how can any of us possibly understand that? But we work so hard and it's so tiring that we have to make fun of each other. Like the allies all have to mock each other in a weird way. That was one of Kyle's salient notes when he left the podcast. Make fun of Bloodworth at every opportunity. Hound him. Because there is a comfort in that, strangely, when it's done well. When you see someone get made fun of and then make fun of the person who made fun of them and they both smile and laugh and hug each other and close that loop. Hopefully it's educational. It brings me comfort. That's what I look for when I watch Achievement Hunter. Kind of funny. What's Good Games? I want to see Andrea Renee and Britt just be savage to each other because I know they fix it. They close the loop. They come back. I'm not sure we closed all the loops. I'm going to try to close as many of them as I can before I retire because it's necessary that you know how much I Third time I've gotten misty this episode. Oh, no, this will not be tears. Caffeine, help. Oh, no, turn the camera off. I love all these people. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'll miss all of you, too, you public weirdos. You public Cup of Jonesers, you sneaky, sneaky people. Love. The love makes it hard. The love makes all the bad parts, the frustrating parts, the parts that may seem insensitive by any ally just because there's confusion, there's miscommunication. We're all artists. None of them are business people. Our communication over 6 years has been so flawed in a lot of ways, but the audience has always buoyed us to where we need to be, and so the audience backs us up. That 33K on Patreon right now comes from people who are not us. That is just everyone else, industry or whatever, wherever you are in the world, however much you're donating. or sorry, how much you're giving us. It's not a donation. Thank you, Bloodworth. Stop it, Bloodworth. But the backup, you know, the way that room feels, the way the garage felt, the way that streaming room feels when you're all in there, you know, the feeling of when, like, okay, go, you know, like when that camera rolls and you're like, ha, we're all not perfect at this, let's go, you know, like, it, you know, sharing those imperfections with these people, like, working in that filthy office, squabbling over what to eat, you know, treating ourselves poorly. This job's damn near impossible to leave. You know, all of these are like my, yes, it did go out as public. Although I hit unlisted, man, I swear. I think. Who knows? I only have a couple more of these to screw up. You will hopefully see me do other stuff. I hope I don't finish this Cup of Jones and then walk in front of a bus. Hopefully you will see me produce stuff that has nothing to do with video games. I hope Easy Allies can benefit from that in some way. I hope these other allies can benefit from that in some way. I believe in what I want to do with the rest of my life that I'm not going to talk about at all. One of those things is obviously taking care of Milo. That's my goal for this year. Meet me in 2023. We can talk about other stuff. But I will take these people, even you, Matt Blair, you know, with me forever, because you just can't get rid of this stuff. You just get as much as you want to. No therapy or lobotomy is going to remove Michael Damiani or Ben Moore from my brain. They are all consummate professionals. They are all passionate butterflies. And they're all super good at their job. And with the exception of Kyle, obviously, they're all going to keep kicking ass. I'm kidding. At Easy Allies. That's what I meant to say. At Easy Allies. Obviously, Kyle's going to do great, and like the other things that he does. You know, I'm a fan of his current work. I just mean within Easy Allies, within the company, the Easy Allies LLC. You know, because I'm handing off the percentages. Those are still the stakeholders of the company. Those are still the people who are going to run it. Shout out to Island Bloodworth, who are now managing the company. I think they're going to do a great job. I want this ultimately to be focused on them, because I'm starting to get what being a fan of Easy Allies is. I'm a fan of the company. I'm a fan of our channels and the content that we produce, but I get to be a fan. I get to just be a fan now. You know, like, yeah, they pay me for stuff every now and then, but I just get to kick back and be like, ooh, new podcast, you know? That's going to be fun. I get to do all that with you, and I got more episodes, but I can't lead these people's lives if I live in the same city as them, you know, for the most part. I got to be a part of their lives forever, but you might just not see me on camera as much. So shout out to all of them. Obviously, shout out to the community, to all of you, but you know, we'll get to you. This is about them. We'll get to all of you. I'm not going to go through you name, you know. I thought about doing like my top 10 community members. My top 10 community members. It's like, wow, is that a powerfully bad idea? And then here goes our Reddit or Reset Era forum. Well, I think Jones's favorites are these. I'll spoil it for you. It's Alexander Zarianov. Okay? There. Followed very closely behind by Mikey Novak. Shout out to Novak. Novak said he's got something in the mail for me coming. Shout out. Excited for some... Novak made like a weapon for Huber. What am I going to get? Oh, boy. I think it's for Milo, too. Oh, boy. No. All my... Hey, I tell you what. Listen to the last podcast of every month, and you'll get a percentage of my favorites. You know, those. I love all those names, man. Reading all of those throughout the years. Obviously, shout out to Mango. Shout out to Elthanis. The mysterious Elthanis. Shout out to all of you. Shout out for watching Long Cup of Jones. We'll get this audio version up as soon as I possibly can. This stream is going to take a long time to download. Apologies for XSplit completely misunderstanding how all of this works. I will not switch to OBS. I have 4 episodes left. I will continue to work on the inferior platform that is XSplit from OBS, because it's failed for me so far. This job's not easy. I'm gonna go try another job that's probably harder, which is called being a dad, and then I'll try another job after that. Boy, I enjoyed this. Boy, I'm sure glad we got to do this live. Thanks for dealing with all the technical issues. and all of you have the absolute best week ever. I will try to do more than Cup of Jones and give you more Milo updates and not botch the technical aspects of this as much as I can. But I'm going to go eat some lunch and hang out with my dog and my cat. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Cheers.